Hey, this is Augie, Augie's Locker Room. When you come to the store, you're going to see things that you've probably never seen before unless you've been to a museum. Great items that go back to the Rockney era to the present. Website, augieslockerroom.com. Visit us here or the website.
Tim O'Malley with Tim Priester at TIAA Bank Field before the Irish take on South Carolina. And Tim, this is the game we have admitted maybe know a little bit less about going in, but there are some obvious keys to look for as the game starts. That would be the level of play from Spencer Rattler, who can be great, and the level of play of the Notre Dame offensive line, which can be great.
Yeah, can Notre Dame put forth a pass rush, and really pressure him? If not, I mean, they don't have Isaiah Foskey. Maybe Jalen Sneed is that guy that's coming off the edge. Maybe they do some things with Maris Leofow. But, that's a key. And, of course, all of Notre Dame world is waiting to see how Tyler Buchner plays after being off for 111 days, I believe, since his injury.
The opt-out and transfer situation in NFL declarations, South Carolina's missing 7 starters, crucial starters. Notre Dame is, of course, missing its starting quarterback and its 2 best football players. So we're going to call that a wash until we watch the football game. But when the Irish have the ball, Tyler Buchner, rust, it has to be a little bit of a factor. I think just being crisp in the passing game. I think Tommy Rees will look to protect him with the running game, and then maybe passes where he can attack down the field instead of some of those troubling ones that have hurt him in the past when you're throwing tight windows on third down. 4 of his 5 interceptions have been on third down.
I would be more concerned if the South Carolina secondary was intact, which it's not, because they'll want to press at the line of scrimmage. They probably will anyway. Tyler Buchner has to have some semblance of a passing game, to help set up the run, so to speak. I think Notre Dame runs the football regardless. Right. I don't believe that you protect Tyler Buchner if he's playing in this game. Tyler Buchner's ready to play, and so you have to run the football with him.
An interesting aspect of this game for me is if Notre Dame and Tommy Rees change their offensive approach. I don't mean an overhaul, which is what I asked him in mid-December, but the reason the 2 tight end set and 3 tight end set works so well is because Michael Mayer is not just a tight end. He's your ultimate weapon, and then you brought in a couple guys in rotation. I think we'll still see Mitchell Evans and Holden Stays, some Davis Sherwood, but perhaps there's a chance here where there's 2 running backs or 3 wide receivers on the field instead of the standard 2 tight end set.
That's true, but whether it's 1 tight end on the field or 2, I think you have to throw the football to them.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously South Carolina is not going to pay a whole lot of special attention to Mitchell Evans and Holden Stays in the passing game, so maybe that gives Tommy Rees and Tyler Buchner some opportunities in the passing game.
Special teams, we haven't said this yet this year after watching Brian Mason, but it's either a wash or advantage South Carolina, and it probably will come into play. 2 very good special teams. It's more likely 1 big play is made than they just offset by being solid and sound throughout the contest. Obviously, punt block is big for the Irish. South Carolina should be able to combat that, but Isaiah Foskey was part of that as well, so I think a key for Notre Dame would be, can Chris Tyree or the Notre Dame kickoff return team, it's not always him, but can he or Lorenzo Styles make a big play to help Tyler Buchner, who should need some short fields? Yeah,
I wouldn't expect there to be a block punt today on either side. Right. You would think that both special teams are in a position to handle the punt block opportunities that the opponent puts out there. But Chris Tyree, can we really expect a long return at this stage of the season? It hasn't happened up to this point. As you said, Tim, I think a wash is what you're looking for here. If one team has an advantage over the other in special teams, it'll be a rarity for either team experiencing that this year, and I think that's, certainly that's the kind of thing that could tip the scales of the game.
A defensive injury concern for Notre Dame, I think more so than Jason Adamiola, because I have a feeling Marcus Freeman and Al Golden knew they were going to be without Jason Adamiola all month. It seems that Brandon Joseph must have re-injured his ankle just because we hadn't heard about it in the last 3 weeks. Brandon Joseph is a playmaker. He has not had a great season making plays, but he's a guy they need to make plays back there, along with Benjamin Morrison, running the defense, because otherwise you have a lot of Houston Griffith and DJ Brown. Xavier Watts is emerging, but it seems like Watson Joseph is your best bet back there for keeping the passing game intact. Kind
of like Gilman and Elliott back in the day, although they made more plays, but I think Brandon Joseph is well positioned. Just because he's not making plays on the ball doesn't mean that he's not being effective. So I agree with you there. I think we continue to see Xavier Watts as he continues to adapt and get more comfortable. But I agree, Tim, that Brandon Joseph is important to Notre Dame today and important within the next week when it's time to make a decision as to whether he returns for next season.
And I think one last point, you've put this in your previews, you've talked about it a lot. Notre Dame's red zone defense is second to last in the country. Their goal-to-go defense has to be last in the country. I didn't go through every single play of all 131 teams, but I promise you they are last in the country because they only stopped 3 of 20 goal-to-go situations to field goals. No turnovers forced. with 17 touchdowns, and Spencer Rattler is going to get in the red zone today. That's crucial for the Irish defense.
The good thing about El Golden's defense is that they've only allowed 33 penetrations,
Right.
which is 12th in the country, but opponents have scored 31 out of 33 times. I mean, it's usually touchdowns, but it's field goals, and rarely do they get a hold or a pick or anything along those lines.
Notre Dame looks to end its season with a win today at TIAA Bank Field, and we'll be back post-game with more Irish Illustrated instant analysis.